Welcome to TBR Live. Interesting conversation with interesting people. This is part 3. Let's make it happen.
Time. And so my dad was like, yeah, you can come back home, but you must work, you must contribute to the household, and you must, do what we need you to do, i.e., cut the grass, clean the house, yada, 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 yada. And again, I did not. I was like, yes, sir. And, it was a very hard time. And man, I was just working. I got me a job I was working at the Federal Reserve downtown. I had gotten a job at Stouffer Hotel, which is now, I think the Stouffer is on Commerce. I forget what the Stouffer is now. I think I don't know if that's the Westin.
I think so.
But at the time, that was the first, they had the Union Station Hotel was open. You had to Hyatt. But the Stouffer, that's where all the when they'd have the CMA, Country Music Week, all the country music stars would come, like Hank Williams and Travis Tritt would come through there, and I would see all these celebrities would come through. So I was working the front desk, and then one day I had to fill in. They needed me to fill in on valet parking, and had never done valet parking. But my dad would always tell me his father, who was a minister. Had his own real estate company, was also a Pullman porter for the railroad, and also worked in restaurants. They called it curb hopping at restaurants that were like Sonic drive-ins, where you pull up and make your order. And my dad would always tell me how his dad got he and his the middle brother jobs there, and hopping. They call it hopping curbs, and working for gratuities, and the art of working for gratuity. And the same way he would tell me stories about my grandfather being a Pullman porter, addressing people respectfully because you would get a tip. So they needed me to fill in one day valet parking. So I was like, all right, man, okay. Because I really didn't like working at the hotel. And the thing was so idiotic of me, the general manager and I can't think of the guy's name, of the Stouffer Hotel, he wanted me to enter the manager trainee program because I was a college graduate. And I was like, no. But I could have, not to say I wanted to go into hotel management, but I mean, there was some job security and, it would have been some decent pay. But I was like, no, I ain't feeling that. I don't want to do that. So I stuck to the front desk. And when they asked me to fill in for the valet, I was like, all right. So then I had my first taste of valet, and it was a great bunch of guys. And they taught me it was a whole strategy on working valet, which is why now I understand the purpose of knowing how to, if you valet your car, you need to give a tip. You ain't got to, give them a $10 bill, but you got to be respectful and you need to show them because if you don't, I've seen stuff done to cars. So I got into valet parking. And work with these guys, and there was an older gentleman that was the bell cap, the doorman that would open the door, and he would school me. And basically, man, it was like, it's like do or die. So when you see, like Hank Williams' manager would always roll up in his Cadillac, and they tell you, yeah, that's Hank Williams' manager, and he will tip you. I'm talking, if he gave you a 10, that was him being cheap. So you can get like a 20. Easy. So the strategy was you had to know who was who and recognize cars, and you had to recognize who they were. So then you would keep your eye on the lobby, and when you see them come down the escalator, you would also have to remember what slot their key was in, and you would go and get the keys. And the cars, we parked them across the street in the garage across the street. So you had to run across Commerce, dodge traffic, and but it was do or die. You didn't sit around and wait on somebody to come to you. You had to go and get, because you wanted to get. We worked for work for tips. And man, I started doing that, and I was bringing home, $100 was a slow night, cash. And so I was like, huh. And so I told her the front desk manager, hey, I want to work valet. Now I was like, I ain't trying to do front desk. I'm going to the bank every morning. I'm like, I got, $200-300 cash going to my bank account. Able to take I was dating my wife and my girlfriend then. She was still at TSU. So I drove up to campus. Hey, baby, where you want to go? Go out. Back then it was, let's go to Pizza Hut. Or there was a place on West End, Pargo's. Pargo's on West End. That was the spot. You get a little fancy island drink. Didn't have pot to piss in, but hadn't really understood what was really living large. But I learned a lot doing valet, man, and it also kept me humble, because it was it taught me how to deal with people, and I'm talking to be like young kids, prom night, and like a lot of young white boys would pull up in their in their parents' Jaguar, and I pull up, hey, yes sir, welcome to the Stouffer, sir, and hello ma'am, make sure their date, help her get out the car, I'll take care of you sir, and just making them, pumping them up, and they'd be like, my name is Teddy, I will take care of your car, if you need anything, just dial blah 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 and ask for Teddy. And I learned that whole art of, which I got again from the things what you get, the lessons you learn when you finally, it clicks what your daddy tells you, because sometimes it doesn't really click, but it brought me down, man. And so I was doing that, man, and I was my dad had me working with him, and I was just working. I had about 3 or 4 jobs, man. And so finally, we had gotten, I proposed to my wife the day before she graduated from TSU. And but then I was dragging my feet on a date. She was like, when we going? I was like, all right, but I'm not, I don't have a career. But I had money because I was staying at home, didn't have no rent. I think I was still paying for my car. But I didn't have what I didn't think was a career. So I was still kind of doing the entertainment stuff a little bit, still working with some people here and there, but I was just focused on working. But I had my eyes set at the time, and I got turned down. I applied for a lot of stuff, entertainment jobs in Nashville. I mean, I even interned at WKRN Channel 2 in Nashville, and thought that was going to lead to a job, and it didn't, because I didn't understand the strategy about making the most of an opportunity. It's on you to do it. You can't wait on somebody else to do it for you. And so I'd always wanted to come to Atlanta. That was the thing, because at the time I was a big fan of L.A. Reid and Babyface. Following them when they were in the group The Deal. I was, I had all the Deal stuff, and I was at the, at this time, Pebbles had come to Atlanta, and TLC, you had Jermaine Dupri. It was all this stuff that was popping off, and I was like, man, I want to go to the Face Records. And but I said, but I gotta. I said, I gotta get a strategy. So I've got to intern to get in somebody's door. You had Dallas Austin was here. He had Rowdy Records. So I was like, okay, but I got my communications degree, which was, it was speech communication and theater with an emphasis in radio and TV production from Tennessee State. But man, it was analog. We learned how to edit film. We spliced with a razor blade. There was ain't no linear, ain't no iMovie, ain't none of that. I didn't even know what to call A/B roll, which is you got two VHS tape decks or beta decks, and then you take both of those and you record them to one source. We didn't have that at TSU. So I said, okay, I'm gonna have to go back to school to get me some skill set so I can get in the door. So I investigated. By that time, a lot of schools were offering better media programs, broadcasting programs, and music, entertainment. music business programs. And I found out about the Art Institute of Atlanta. And they had a music business program, which was an associate's degree. I think it was an 18 or two-year program. And that was the first time, man, I finally, I was proud of myself because I didn't rely on my parents. I applied. I got me some school loans to cover my tuition. And luckily, my wife, she was from Tidewater area, Chesapeake, Virginia, Norfolk, Portsmouth area. Mm-hmm. She had wanted to go to, we both loved Atlanta. Because that would be our, many a weekend trip. So, hey, let's roll to Atlanta. We'd rent a car, rent an Altima or a Maxima. No, Maxima. And we coming down 75 in a Maxima. And we gonna stay at the, Crown Plaza, I'm tipping the guys, hey man, here's a $5, take care of my car. I'm just, again, cause I'm a hot mess. But, we both loved Atlanta. Cause back then, Buckhead, Lenox Mall, that was the spot. When you come to Atlanta, you gotta go to Lenox Mall. And, I was always chasing stuff down. And so people would, it gets to the point of like, here come Teddy. And then Pat would say, Teddy, go get so-and-so. Because we were always, it's like we were kind of over the office. So you had a lot of young people, and it was about, it was close to 100 people. So Chris at the time, man, he was doing, he had released a song with Timbaland called, what was it? One was Fat Rabbit, and I forget the other one. And so we did a concert every year. We had a birthday bash to celebrate when Hot 97 started. It was a full-fledged concert. And then I was over the money. I mean, I had to pay the artist, so I had to take a check. We paid the artist a deposit up front, certified funds. But then at the show, people want to get paid before they take the stage. Normally it's cash. So this is hip hop. So, I'm talking, So Def, Cash Money, Lil Wayne, them, what's my man, Master P. And my job was to pay everybody. So I would have to go cash a check. Hey, it could be 30,000, 40,000, depending on who the artist is. I had to go to the bank and cash the check by myself. And Pat would know, she would know I was gone, but I wouldn't tell nobody else I was going. And then we were at the time, Radio 1 was in the Citizens Trust Bank building, downtown Atlanta, at the corner of Piedmont and Auburn Avenue, which was a very highly, lot of drug traffic. Okay. The garage was very dark. The station vehicles were burglarized quite often. So little old me, I'd have to go to the bank, drive down Peachtree into the, almost to pretty much in Midtown Atlanta. It was about a 10-minute drive. And Pat would know, and I wouldn't let nobody else would know, because we had there was a lot of cash. A lot of the club owners that would have spots were paying cash. So I was always, making night deposits. I mean, stressed out of my mind. I'm talking, $10,000. It was nothing for me to have, $10,000 deposit, cash. And I'd have to go to the bank, man. SunTrust Bank. Right off Peachtree and 14th Street in Atlanta. And I would call my wife. She worked downtown at the time too. I said, all right, baby, hey, I'm headed to the bank. I'm going to go down Peachtree. The bank is this the address. I will let you know when I get there. And I would pull up in the parking lot. This was, it was an outside bank, standalone bank. So then there was some steps to get into the bank. You had to walk in, go up some steps. You couldn't just walk in. So I pull up and I'm like surveying. I'm like, I'm like, who looks suspicious? So I'd always back in the parking space. I'd park find me a spot that was close to the entrance, and I'd have all I had was my shoulder bag. I ain't had no weapons. I was not armed. I had my cell phone, and I'd go into the bank. The manager would know what would be expecting me, so we go in his office, and I always want large bills. Preferably, we talking, hundreds. Can you give me 100 strapped up? Preferably, strapped in, $2,000 increments. And one day he was like,
all I got is 20. So I was like, no, man, you're killing me. No. You know, I'm like, it's $30,000. You know, and I got my shoulder back. So, man, I would leave the bank, had to go down these steps. And I would come, before I come in this office, I'm looking at who's in the bank. And everybody was a suspect. I don't care if you white, black, red, orange, male, female, kids, youth. To me, everybody was a suspect. So I would call my wife. Okay, I'm walking to my car. I'm going to go down. I would give her. I'm going down Peachtree. It should take me 10 minutes. If I do not call you, you dial 911. Because then we were on the 10th floor, so I had to park in this dark garage. Then get in the elevator that was slow. It was an older building. So the elevator was like zzz, up to the 10th. So the elevator would stop, people getting on, I'm sitting there, no. So I'd walk up to my car and I would literally, man, I'm like, okay, every vehicle, everybody was a suspect. So I'd jump in my car, literally, I have my key out, so literally, as soon as I sat in, I could care less about a seatbelt. I'm like, wasn't trying to put it under the back seat. I'm like just dropping my bag. I'm like literally the bag's on my shoulder. And I think I had an Explorer at the time. When I moved in here, I had an Explorer. I fell in love with Explorers, and have had one. Except the car I have now is not an Explorer for the first time in 20-something years. But I jump in the car, boy, pull off, hit it, and then red lights. I'd be sweating. I'd be like, oh, anybody pulled up? I'm like, okay. Who is that? Are they looking at me? If somebody looked at me, oh my God, why are they looking at me? Who's around me? Are the doors locked? I'm talking, you talking about what time it happened is thank the Lord for a strong bladder. Because I'd be like, boy, oh my God. So then I get to the building and lights be out in the garage. Okay, I gotta park. And I'm okay, who can't see nothing. I'm like, okay, was that a car door? Is that somebody walking? So then I get in the elevator and I'm like, I just get in the back and I got my bag and people getting on. I'm like, okay, stop hitting it, stop pushing buttons. It's like, and I would get up to the office and wouldn't talk to nobody. I'd go straight to Pat's office and we had a safe. We put the money in the safe. And I would call Michelle and I'm like, hey baby, I'm here. And then we had to go to the show. So the day of the concert, I had a plainclothes, a security guy with me. And he'd be strapped. He'd meet us at the station, ride with me to the venue. And the venue we used to always back then it was Lakewood Amphitheater. It was an outdoor venue. It was an amphitheater. So backstage was just open. The office was a trailer. So it's just open. So you're talking, it's a hip hop show. You got folk backstage. It's like anything can pop off. And nobody wanted their money until right before they took the stage. So I literally had to walk around with my shoulder bag and 40 large in my, in my possession. And my security guy, anybody came to me, he'd be like, what you want? And that was the craziest experience. And I would do it if we had club dates, like a ladies' night at a club. One time I had my wife help me out in Decatur, Memorial Drive, and I think it was ladies' night or something. And I think LL Cool J was there or something. But I had to do it. I was over the box office again. I'm taking money, so my wife came to help me. So my security guy, at the end of the night, we had to go and settle up in the back office, and the club got a certain percentage, but I had to take our money with me. And at the time, I was living, I've always lived north of town. So I'm talking, you're talking about 20, 30-minute drive at night, 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock at night. And so I wasn't trying to do no night deposit drop at 12 o'clock at night, so I'd bring the cash to the crib. So we leaving the club and my security guy, as we settle up, he's at the door. If anybody knock on the door, they would be greeted by his 9. What do you want? So I'm like, y'all stay away. When I come out, you can then ask me whatever question you got. So he would escort me out of the club to the car. He's like, all right, man, so I'm going to walk you to your car. Now, where you live? Okay, give me your address. I ain't get my address. All right, man, how long is it going to take you to get there? It's going to take me 25. Okay, so I'm going to expect you to call me at this time. If I don't hear from you, I'm coming and I'm calling the police. So he walked to the car and my wife's cousin was there. Teddy! And the skinny guy was like, "Oh, what's wrong?" And I was like, "Cuz," he was like, and he was just like, "Oh snap, okay, you know, is this, you know, am I being robbed?" And Michelle was like, one was like, "It's good." He's like, "Matt, it's good, man. We, you know," I'm like, "Cuz, we holler at you, man. We trying to. This is my security guy. We just da da da." He's like, "Oh, okay." But for me, you know, I would not be where I am, and you know, the Heavenly Father, my path,
Right.
my story is one. It still amazes me when I look at what my story is. Now, I'm not a millionaire.
I understand.
I ain't made a lot of, you know, I ain't no millionaire by no means. But, you know, I have touched some lives. I've impacted some people.
Yeah.
And right now the priorities for me are my two children and my sister's children, my niece and nephew. And after that, you know, it's like with my dad looking at his life, and that's what his thing was always about, was giving back to others and not necessarily looking for a pat on the back, but being behind the scenes, but still the impact, you know, when he passed, and you know the number of family members that drove and flew, and we had a lot of people that you know this flu epidemic. A lot of people were sick. People were still, you know, family man came for Dad's funeral, but it, you know, because of what he meant to them, and that's the thing for me. It's like, I'm going to continue to carry out that legacy, you know, to give back. You know, you can't necessarily, you ain't trying to solve the world's problems, but it was just one person at a time.
Yeah.
And it was just, you know, that young person, if you at Mickey D's and you see a young person that's having, "Hey man, you be good, you know, thank you, you're doing good." You know, it's the words of encouragement.
Yeah.
You know, and those are the little things you can do to help people. And so that's kind of, it's just kind of been my path, man, you know, and people want to think that I've done, I had one lady wants me, she had reached out to me about speaking in Texas. I had a feature on a website last fall about my career. It was just an internet article, and I got contacted, and a lady in Texas that has a dance school, but she wanted to know if I would come and speak to her students about the industry and about things like, you know, licensing and, you know, all the details of the business side. And I called her back, and she was like, "Oh, you know, I thank you so much for calling me back. I know you're a very busy executive." You know, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm just a regular dude. I've seen some things. I've been some places. I've seen some things, but I'm by no means trying to, you know, my days of popping my collar. You know, I'm doing good. Just, you know, when I see my kids do good, I'm popping my collar in for them. You know, I'm like, you know, yes, son, baby girl. That's, you know, that's what mommy and daddy want you to do. But I'm, you know, my thing is, I'm by no means, I'm nobody's rock star except, you know, my Lord and Savior. I'm trying to be a rock star for Christ. And that's not always, you know, that's not an easy job.
Right.
But people get the impression, you know, when they hear my background, they're like, you know, this guy is just, you know, like, yeah, you know, the good Lord he's shown me. I said, "Hey, this is what I want," and he said, "Okay, I'm gonna give you a taste of it, so you see what's really going on." That's what he does.
Yeah.
And so it's given me a sense of balance, some humility, because it's important, you know, as a grown man.
Yeah.
Because the older you get, you know, I'm Ted Lewis Jr. I can be a little stubborn. I get cranky. You know, I'm in my 50s. I just turned 52. And yeah, you know, my patience, you know, I be in traffic, what's gonna move out the way? You know, I'm looking at the young people, what, you know, this thing, you know, my kid, I'm like, that's not rap music. Who is this? Who's, you know, who is Jeezy? Who is, you know, what is that? That's not, you know, I'm like, I'm saying all the same stuff that my dad used, you know, I've become my father. And that's all good, because that's what I looked up to. But it's funny how as the older you get, you know, it's, you know, you look at yourself and you can look back and but I know that it's impactful with my children. My daughter just did a speech. She had to do a speech in class about optimism, and she quoted me, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, Daddy, I quoted because I used to always tell them since they were, infants. I said, hey, always smile, never let anybody steal your joy. Because your joy, you have to guard your joy. The Heavenly Father gives you joy. That's the one thing He will give you, but you will lose it if you let other people take it from you. And I would always tell them that. And they're, especially the age, they're in middle school now. So,
Yeah.
those that's some hard years.
No doubt.
And when she told me, and she did this speech, man, and she read it for me and my wife just started crying because it was just like, you wrote this? And it was great, and it flowed. And when she was telling me, oh, Daddy, I'm not really, she's going to get mad about hearing me, I don't want to embarrass her. But she was being honest, it's like, I just don't want to read in front of the class, they're not going to, they're going to think it's funny. I said, no, baby, you just do you. Do you. And she said, yeah, I quoted you. And I said, you did? I said, well, see, it goes to show you, you don't think, when you hear your parents saying the same things, it don't really resonate as you get older.
Right.
You then can apply it.
Right.
And I said, just like I said, Papa was, my dad was the same thing. My mom was the same thing. And now as a parent, I'm always applying it. And that's how me and my wife, we raised our children the way that we were raised. So we're, the application becomes, that's what you do. So I said, that lets me know. I said, that's, I felt good to know that baby girl, she's quoting me. And that means more than anybody saying who I am, what I've done.
Right.
But when my child is writing a speech for class and is saying, hey, this is what my daddy says. And everybody in the class, she read it and they applauded her. And I was like, I said, baby girl, that's what's up. You got to be true to who you are, and you say what you mean and mean what you say. And it's not about what you think people are going to respond, because somebody needs to hear what you have to say, because God puts it on your heart. And that's one of the things, man, that I've tried to live by that.
Yeah.
Have I always succeeded? No.
That's
But it's day by day, and it came full circle for me, man. When the good Lord took my dad home, and I had to get up in front of our family, our church, where my grandfather was the associate pastor, our family church in Nashville, Pleasant Green Missionary Baptist Church on Jefferson Street, where I was, as a youngster, was told, again, my uncle was the deacon, my daddy was chairman of trustee board. They would, you can welcome the visitors. When do you want to? You gonna welcome the visitors. You gonna read the scripture. So that pulpit, that's where I kind of got my first exposure to public speaking, and it came full circle. I had to each of my uncles, both of my dad's brothers, they all passed, before him, were laid to rest at Pleasant Green, and I had to honor both of my uncles and then my father. And so it came full circle with how I was raised. And I realized at that point that he prepared me for that day, for what I was supposed to do upon his passing. He, as his son, and everybody in the hospital, that's my namesake. Everybody like, yeah, Mr. Lewis, we know that's. And I was there, me and my sister, we were juggling, we were alternating, and staying with him in the hospital. And he got the biggest kick out of, I said, no, Dad, son, I know you got your family. I said, no, hey, man. And I told him, I said, no, man, just like Dad, you'd always tell us, whenever you would do something, you say, thanks, Dad. He's like, hey, my pleasure. I said, no, Dad, my pleasure, man. You my damn, of course I'm here to make sure that they take care of you. And he would tell me, that's my namesake. And I said, yeah, that's me. And all the stories, and I'm gonna miss my pop stories, but now, man, as I trudge forward, I'm able to put all this into perspective as I raise, our children, look at my niece and nephew, and the prettiest thing, man, it was the funeral was just beautiful, because my nephew, who is a freshman at Michigan, and is doing just an excellent job, man. He, my dad, was able to see him graduate high school, and he graduated on my dad's birthday last year, up in Detroit, man. And we all went, and he got up to honor his grandfather, man, at the funeral. And I was sitting there, man, how am I gonna get up? This is my dad, I'm like, my band director, my high school, Mr. Trexwell came in. Well, he just his son. I'm here, it's gonna be okay. I'm trying to console my mama. I ain't consoling her at all. She consoling me. I'm there. I'm just nose running. It's like, I'm just.
Right.
And my nephew, Mr. Rob. And Rob got up there, man, before me, and man, he ain't miss a beat. And he talked about, honored Papa, and Rob had his suit on. Rob got up there, man, and I was like, oh, okay, so I was like, okay, so dang, man, so okay, I gotta do this. I can't, if my nephew can't get up there. And man, I got up in that pulpit, man, and boom. Mm-hmm. And I told Rob afterwards, I said, Rob, you talked about how Papa said, how you can impact others. I said, but what you didn't realize, man, you impacted your uncle. You helped your uncle. And that's the one thing that, my dad, I was raised, he said, remember your objectives and you follow them. And, but success is not, you don't define your success, and you're not necessarily striving for success, but you just want to be true to who you are.